We're going to take back a step just to remind us of what we did. Therefore, we'll read today's piece in context. I'll read it in English because last time we already read it in Hebrew. On page 126, the Kuzari said, I see that the guarantees of an afterlife made by other religions are richer and more bountiful than yours. The rabbi said, however, all their rewards purportedly come to fruition only after death. There's no benefit during one's lifetime, nor is there any indication in this lifetime of the future reward. You know, it says, other religions promise you all kinds of things that you're not promising. So what makes you better than them? People are going to be more attracted to them than they are to you. He said, other religions promise you things after you die. This religion promises you things in this world. Other people didn't come back from the other world. Oh, you know, I was there and I met whoever I met and they gave me this reward. It doesn't work that way. They say there was once a guy who passed away and he told his best friend, he said, you know, before you pass away, promise me when you get up there, you're going to come back to me in a dream after a month. So he comes back in a dream. And he says, no, how's it up there? He said, it's incredible. He says, tell me something about the next world. He said, well, I have good news and I have bad news. So what's the good news? He said, up here they also play baseball. So what's the bad news? He says, you're up next. You know, this is unfortunately, the people don't, or fortunately for us, nobody came back from the afterlife and said, you know, I was up there and everything Yeshua said is happening. Everything Muhammad said is happening. But we have people in this world who've kept Torah mitzvot and can testify, can guarantee that the things that they did in this world, these are things of emet, these are things of truth. So the Kuzari said, and I've never seen any believer in these other rewards wishing that the arrival of these rewards would come sooner. You never found somebody from another religion telling you, oh, I can't wait till I die. I just can't wait. And if they did, you'd probably send them to a good therapist or a counselor or something. It's not a normal thing for a person to say. But what do you mean? Your religion preaches all about what's going to happen to you in the next world. Don't you want to die? Is that the best thing for you? I once saw a priest speaking to an inmate, a prison inmate. Now, actually, I don't know. I don't know if it's any different than any other religion, but what can you promise a person in prison? God willing, he should get out soon. It's in a life sentence. He's not getting out anytime soon. God willing, there should be a breakout from prison. No, you're not willing anything like that on anybody. So what is there to give a person? The religions that offer you things in the next world, they've got a lot going, because you can't promise me anything in this world. But in the next world, so at least here, you're stuck behind bars, but in the next world, you can promise him all kinds of things. If one of these people had the ability to delay these rewards for 1,000 years, so that he could extend his journey among the living, he would do so despite the burdens and miseries of this world. A person would much rather have to deal with debt collectors that are running after him and the bad boss at work and the next door neighbor who is always parking in front of their driveway than having to deal with all these wonderful rewards in the next world. You're not going to find somebody who's going to say, yeah, I want to die. It's much better than the problems I go through now. Amar Kuzari, so says the Kuzari, מבלי ספק, שהוא מתהווה, I think we already just did this. No, I skipped. 107, here's where we left off. Amar חבר, says the rabbi, ומה תאמר במישהו רואה אלה המעמדים הגדולים המלאכותיים? What would you say about somebody who has witnessed these great angelic spectacles? The prophets that we spoke about earlier. Amar Kuzari, says the king, מבלי ספק שהוא מתהווה שתתמיד נפשו על הפרידה מחושב ותישאר נהנית באור ההוא, והוא מה שמתהווה המוות. Such a person would unquestionably desire a permanent separation of his soul from his physical senses, so that he could bask in this holy light continuously, and must therefore conclude that such a person would desire death. This is where we left off last week. We spoke about Judaism being a religion of life. You must live through the Torah. Torah is not through death, Torah is through living. We spoke about dangerous situations where we give up our life or we don't give up our life. These are things we spoke about. Amar hechaver, says the rabbi, אבל יהודנו, הידבקנו בעניין אלוהי בנבואה או משהו קרוב לה, והתחבר העניין אלוהי בנו בגדולה ובכבוד ובמופתים. The rabbi said, but the guarantees of reward in our religion are not related to an afterlife. Rather, they are bonding to divinity through prophecy and near prophecy, and attachment of divinity to our people with grandeur, glory, and wonders. ועל כן איננו אומר בתורה, it doesn't say in the Torah, כי אם תעשו המצווה הזאת, אביאכם אחרי המוות אל גנות והנאות. Our religion doesn't tell us that if you do this and this commandment, I will bring you to gardens and pleasure after death. But he's like the footnote says, this is a promise that's found in Islam. Aval hu omer, so what does Hashem say to us really in the Torah? V'atem tiyu li la'am, you should be for me for a people, a nation. V'ani elachem Elohim, and you will be for me and I will be for you for a God. V'anhigitchem, and I will guide you. V'yeh mikem mi she'amod lefanai mi she'aleh l'shamayim. And there will be some of you who will stand before me, and some will even ascend to the heavens. כאשר היו הולכים בין המלאכים וקוראים להם המלאכים בן אדם כדי להכירם במלאכים העומדים בתוכם. The angels refer to these people as Ben Adam, son of man. You'll find it in the Nevi'im. You probably remember in some of the Haftarot you read on Shabbat. Tell me Ben Adam, tell me human being. What is he saying the word human being? Because this is a human being who became so connected to the divine that he was communicating now with an angel of Hashem. And in order to differentiate between the angels and these prophets that were up there, they called them Ben Adam, son of man. והיו גם כן מלאכים הולכים ביניהם. And it also says the angels will roam among you, בארץ, on the land, ותראו אותם יחידים ורבים, שומרים אתכם ונלחמים לכם. Sometimes only one person will see them, sometimes only one of them, sometimes many of them will come at a time. They'll protect you, they'll fight for you. What does David HaMelech says? B'Shem Hashem Elokei Yisrael, I'm saying this in the name of God. Mi'yaminim Michael, to my right is the angel Michael, B'Smoli, Ma'mifanai, Ma'chorai. Hashem, he says, I'm surrounded by angels. By the way, the Ramah tells us, Rabbi Moshe Shalish, he says, very good, Rashi Tevot Gemara. The acronym of those four angels, Gabriel, Michael, Raphael, Uriel, spells out the word Gemara, Talmud study. The Talmud study is what brings the angels to surround you. But you see, there were times in our history where people said, oh, I see an angel. It's an angel of Hashem that's coming to speak to me. It's an angel of Hashem coming to go to war with me. Angels, real Nevi'im, real Malachim, that the prophets saw them. In lower times, so we didn't merit always to see angels. Sometimes we merited to see Eliyahu Navi. As if that's really a lower step. But it's a lower step in those who understand. Rabbi Yitzchak Kaduri Elav Shalom, like I told you last week, he brought people to the stones of the Kotel and said, this is the stone where I spoke to Eliyahu Navi. Passed away in 2009. There are still such people. ותתמידו בארץ אשר היא עוזרת על המעלה הזאת. The Torah says you will continue to live in the land that is conducive to this type of spiritual elevation. I cannot tell you. I'm living in America now for 4.5 years? More. 4.5 years. Let's say 4.5 years. And I'm sick and tired of Jews who to them Israel is not central to their existence. I don't mean Israel like, you support the Zionist alliance of Zionists of North America. That's not what I'm talking about here, Israel. You must be aware that your religiosity outside of Israel is not the same as if you were in Israel. There's nothing to discuss here. I once was interrupted by a class that I gave. I was leading a seminar, and as a Rebbitzin stood up and she said, stop telling people that Israel, you can turn even this place that we're in, this hotel that we're in, you could turn it into San Diego. I changed a little bit the story. Don't worry. It's in order to...
Be kind.
Megale tefach mechaseh tefachim. I'm covering one tefach, I'm covering 2 tefachim.
What? I'm gonna hang up on it. I thought we could Skype and he could see the class.
So, you could see the class, especially we're going to hear him in the class.
I guess you can give the class too.
I told us, I'm sorry, with all due respect, you're incorrect. No, in the Kabbalah teaches blah 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 blah. I told you, everything that you're telling me is a lie. Our rabbis tell us, En Torah ke Torah Eretz Yisrael. There's no Torah like the Torah of the land of Israel. If you want to tell me the Hasidim say you don't have to be in Israel, that's not true. The students of the Baal Shem Tov made all their journeys they could to go to Israel. The Rabbi Nachman of Breslov, he's famous for saying all the Torah, all the holiness that he ever obtained in his life, he got in the 2 weeks that he spent in the land of Israel. 2 weeks. Our rabbis in Bavel was a rabbi who left Babylon, and he came to Israel, and at the border of Israel he said, Hashem, all the Torah that I've studied my whole life, please make me forget it. I don't want to know the Torah that I studied outside of Israel. I only want the Torah that I studied inside of Israel. Oh, so why do we study Torah here? We do. Why do we have a choice? We're going to be here, we're going to sit here and not be Jewish. But the people who can pretend to you that you can have an authentic religious experience as a Jew who is outside of the land of Israel, they're lying to you between their two frontiers. You can have a religious experience, but not an authentic religious experience. There's not the same to pray on the Temple Mount as it is to pray in a synagogue in a university city. It's not the same. Can you be holy in a synagogue in a university? Sure. But when I walk the street to the Kotel, I'm walking down the same street that Kohen Gadol used to walk down. I'm not walking down the same street that the 4th of July parade goes down. Is there anything wrong with the 4th of July parade? Absolutely not. But it's not conducive to my authentic religious experience. You drive to Hebron. I'm walking down the same road that Avraham Avinu walked down. When I'm everywhere that I go, everywhere, there's nothing you can say. This experience is an authentic one. And in a spiritual level, they say Avirad Eretz Yisrael Machima. Even the air of the land of Israel makes you more intelligent. It's funny. In the souvenir shops, they sell these little sardine cans of air. I wonder if this is what their inspiration. It doesn't work that way. You can't inhale air from Israel. It doesn't work. It's the spirit that being in Israel, that's what makes a person. They say about the children of Yerushalayim. My rabbis in the Talmud talk a lot about the children who were born in Yerushalayim. When I lived in the old city, we had a derogatory name. We used to call them the Rova rats. The Jewish quarter rats. Well, they'd climb out of the buildings. You'd see them jumping from one roof to the next roof. They were like, anywhere you could climb, they were there. But the truth is that these children, you can tell, the children of Yerushalayim are different. I sometimes meet Israeli people. And I meet Israeli people, and someone will talk to me, and I say, where are you from? I'm from Jerusalem. I said, I know you're from Jerusalem. I could feel that you're from Yerushalayim. It's a different person. The rabbis tell us in the Talmud, there's once a boy walking in the street. It's a Talmudic story. Once a boy walking, I thought it was a cute story, but I found the source recently. He was walking in the street, his mom sent him to the next door neighbor with a pot of food. And so the pot of food was covered, and one of the neighbors outside, oh, that smells so good, what's inside the pot? What would you say? You try, I don't know, a chulent, I don't know, a steak, whatever's inside the pot. He said, my mother wanted to know what was inside the pot, she wouldn't have put a lid on it. The children in Yerushalayim they come with a different flavor. Hashem told us that the most authentic Jewish experience, and some of us who complain, how could it be that we live here, we do mitzvot, and we don't feel the reward? Half of the reason might be that we're not putting ourselves in an environment that is conducive for that reward. The Siyata D'Shmai, I Baruch Hashem feel Siyata D'Shmai here too. There were years that I was here that I did not feel Siyata D'Shmai. But I cannot speak like that. Today, Baruch Hashem, things work. When I was in Israel though, it was almost like you didn't have Siyata D'Shmai, you just relied on the fact that it was going to work out. Sometimes I would have, my lease was up in an apartment in 1 week. The landlord gave me a 2-month notice. I don't have anywhere to go. Where to go? But I can't afford where to go. All of a sudden, the same day that I need to be out, there's a place that opens up. It's right next door. I don't even have to move my stuff. Well, how did that work? I already expected that was going to happen. Why? Israel, I could tell you, Kadosh Baruch Hu says that in the land of Israel, things are different. And those of you who've been there, who spent time there, you feel this, you know this. V'yeh sovav v'tovata v'rata sab'a. Her kamatz katan or not? The third line, b'shtein. Binan Elohi k'fi ma'asachem. The land, its bounty, its favorable or unfavorable state will all be in the hands of Hashem, but it will be exactly parallel to your actions. The whole world will be running in the natural order except for you. You should know that there are many Mekubalim who say that outside of the land of Israel, even Jews don't have divine providence. Understand what I'm telling you here. We don't paskin like that opinion. Okay, well, I'm going to give you Ashkach HaPratit. But there are poskim that tell us, outside of the land of Israel, it's all by angels. Only in Eretz Yisrael, Hashem lokecha tluim batamid. Hashem's eyes are constantly in the land of Israel. Hashgacha pratit might not exist outside of Israel. There are such mekubalim. What do we say in Havdalah? We say, that the darkness will cover the world and there will be a foggy cloud above all the nations of the world. V'alayich yizrach Adonai, above you will be the light of Hashem, U'chvodo alayich re'eh, and His honor will be seen on you.
Your video hiccups.
Alright, this is a famous teaching. I think since then this has already been turned into some Jewish pop song. But back in the day this wasn't such a famous teaching. The book Tanat Eliyahu, according to the Gemara, was written by a rabbi called Rav Anan. Rav Anan studied Torah with Eliyahu Navi and recorded the writings, the conversations that he had with Eliyahu Navi. So, Shanu Rabbeinu, rabbis taught us. B'sha'ah shemelech HaMashiach nigleh, at the moment where the King Mashiach will reveal himself, Ba ve'omed al gad Bet Mikdash. He will come and stand on the roof of the Bet Mikdash. So what do you understand from here? What comes first? The Bet Mikdash. If when the Mashiach reveals himself, he's going to come stand on the roof of the Bet Mikdash, so here you see that the Bet Mikdash comes before Mashiach.
It's already here. Yeah, at that time.
Those who wish to push the other agenda, V'hu mashmi'a lehem Yisrael, and he calls out to the Jewish people, V'omer, and he says, Anavim, humble ones, Higia zeman geulatchem, the time of your redemption has arrived. V'im en atem ma'aminim, if you don't believe me that I am the Mashiach and the time of your redemption has come, Re'u be'ori shezarach alechem, look at my light that is shining on you. Shneimar, like it says, Kumi ori kiva oreich uchvod Adonai elayich zarach, says, come up my light, the time has come, my honor is shining on you, v'alechem bilvad zarach, and only on you it will be shining. Shneimar, like it says, ki hena achoshech za'aretz, ki achoshech za'aretz, v'alayich zarach Adonai, the darkness will cover the earth, and on you will shine a light. Be'ota sha'ah, that moment, says Eliyahu Navi, Mavhik HaKadosh Baruch Hu oro shel Melech HaMashiach v'shel Yisrael, Hashem shines the light of Mashiach and of the Jewish people. V'holchim kulam la'oro shel Melech HaMashiach shel Yisrael, and the whole world will begin to walk in the path of Melech HaMashiach and the Jewish people. The rest of this is not relevant to what I wanted to share. There will be a time where you're going to look at the Jewish people, you're going to look at the rest of the world, it will be obvious that Yad Hashem, the hand of Hashem, is on the Jewish people. I remember in 2008, when was the big recession here? People were... 2008? I came back to visit. I was in a certain grocery store, and the shelves were empty.
Here?
Here in San Diego. This was out of stock. That was out of stock. This was out of stock. This was mamash. People were... I think it was the time I was at the 99-cent store. And it was the most Porsches and Lamborghinis I ever saw in my life parked in front of the 99-cent store. Sports cars. It was like a sports car boutique. I don't know what to tell you. Mercedes and whatever fancy cars people drive. I don't know what they drive. This... I asked people what's going on here. They said, oh, it's a recession. You don't know. Money, houses, I don't understand how finances work. But the world is in a terrible state. And so I was here visiting from Israel, and I went back to Israel. And one of my friends came. We wanted to go out for dinner at a restaurant. So I said, it's a good friend. Well, let's go for a fancy dinner. I was working. I didn't have any children, not a wife. I had my money to spend. So we went out to a very fancy restaurant. And the line to get into the restaurant on a normal Tuesday evening was an hour and a half.
Oh, wow.
It's on a Tuesday when it's...
an hour and a half. It's a normal day. It's not a Thursday night. It's not a Sunday morning. It's not...
yeah.
And I said, this is what it means. People in line, Israelis, not American tourists, Israelis, are waiting in line for an expensive restaurant that they can afford. But in America, everyone's shopping in the 99-cent store. Didn't have a recession hit in Israel. Recession hit here. When the whole world looks, you understand, the Catholic Church, you must treat them for all intents and purposes as a country, not as a religion. It's a country, there are politics, it's a government, it's money, it's power, it's wealth, it's murder, it's blood. This is the Catholic Church.
They have ambassadors.
This is exactly what they are. And very good. It is a country, but it used to operate really as a country over the whole world. It ruled over kings, ruled over nations. When the Catholic Church has to take back their stance on Jews, that for 2,000 years they're telling everybody, you want to see the Jewish people were wrong? Do you want to see how bad it happens when you kill Yeshu? Look at how downtrodden they are. Look, everybody in the world, anybody wants to kill Jews, you could do it. It's not a crime anywhere to kill Jews. You understand that you can murder a person from the street, If he wasn't Jewish, he'd go to prison also. If he was Jewish, sure, he'd get a reward. In almost every country on the face of this earth, Jewish blood had no value. And then all of a sudden, 1948, against everybody's wishes and everybody's desires, a little tiny state of Israel pops into it. And the Catholic Church, after much debate, much ideological battle and theological problems, how can the Catholic Church say that the Jewish people are still... Did they promise the whole world for 2,000 years almost? That the Jewish people will never come back to the land of Israel. Who's going to come back? Jesus is going to bring back the Christians to Israel.
In fact, they claimed that was a prophecy.
This
They
was
claimed it as a prophecy.
very good. And then what happens? Who comes home? The Jews. Like, who was surprised? But you imagine the validation the Jewish people felt, especially those who knew Torah, especially those who felt mitzvot. We came back home to the world and said, we're back, we're home. This is exactly what Hashem prophesied that happened. So what does the Catholic Church do? It has an official meeting and changes the theology of the Catholic Church. All of a sudden, maybe the Jews didn't kill Jesus. Maybe we didn't. 2,000 years we're telling you we didn't kill him. And 2,000 years you're killing us. And all of a sudden you change your mind. Why? Because Hashem made a decision that the light of his Mashiach is going to shine on the Jewish people. It's an incredible thing. The most powerful, you could argue, government on this earth has 1 billion followers. They might be citizens of America and of Canada and of Mexico, but 1 billion people adhere to Christianity in some form. More even. They have to change their belief system. Because something that they believed in for so long turned out to be an utter lie. Can you imagine? Because of you, not because of us.
Yeah.
When you walk down the street, you're a slap in the face to anybody who believes that we are the sons of the serpent and we are the sons of the devil and we're just Jews going back home. That's what we are. And that didn't solve any anti-Semitism problems in the world. It just made it worse. It made it worse because now we're slapping everybody in the face. Well, just existing, we're slapping people in the face. But this is exactly what he's talking about. In your land, you will experience things you don't experience anywhere else. V'yen noheg, ki tiru im shchinati shetiyeh betochem. You're going to see that my divine presence is with you. מטוב אדמתכם וסדר גשמכם שלא יעברו איתהם הצריך להם. Your land will be bountiful. Your rainy seasons will never fluctuate from their required times. ושתגברו על אויביכם במתי מספר. You will defeat your enemies despite your small number. 600,000 Jews defeat 50 million Arab soldiers. What is he talking about? This. We turn a barren wasteland into a land where you grow so many oranges that Israel doesn't know what to do with them. Israel is a great exporter of oranges. The Arabs managed to barely make an olive tree grow in the land of Israel. You still go. I'm going to be in Israel next week. It's unbelievable. The way you drive down the highway and you see a Jewish village on this side has grass and flowers and trees and water, and you go across the street and you see dirt and rocks and olive trees. Olive trees grow everywhere, by the way. It's an easy tree to grow. Even cactuses they didn't manage to work out for themselves. Can you imagine? It's really sad. It's still today. Where else do you have it? You think you drive down to California, you look into a Native American reservation, and there are flowers, and there are trees, and there's what? Who owns this land? They own this land. And then you come to the occupying settlers. Those are you who live in San Diego. Please let's not change history. If the Jews are going to be occupiers and settlers in the land of Israel, so we're going to be occupiers and settlers as non-Native Americans in California. I will toe this line forever. And we're going to be here, and you see, look, in University City, things don't grow. I try to plant something, it doesn't grow. Look at Barry's garden, it doesn't grow.
Oh,
and then you go to a Native American reservation, and look how it grows. Look how beautiful it looks over there. There's no other place in the world that has this promise.
That is a great garden.
מה שתכירו בו, it's a bear, I'm joking. מה שתכירו בו, כי אין עניינכם נוהג על המנהג הטבעי. Through all this, you will see that you are not governed by the normal laws of nature. אבל בחפץ, but you are governed by my divine will. כאשר תראו אם תמרו, if you will perceive this, if you rebel against me, מהבצורת והנגף והחיה הרעה והעולם כולו בשלווה. It could be the Jewish people will be hunted down and persecuted by every wild beast on earth, but the rest of the world will be calm. The rest of the world will be okay. ואז תדעו, and then you'll know, כי עניינכם מנהיג אותו. דבר שהוא גדול מן העניין הטבעי, you are governed by something much greater than what people call nature. There There's so much to say about this. I didn't even get to my notes yet on today's class. I'm just reading to you what it says in the Kuzari. HaKadosh Baruch Hu is telling us, stop thinking that you are living in the confines of nature. I gave this class a few years ago on Purim. The crux of the class is the famous question of what did the Jews do wrong? What did the Jews do wrong on Purim that deserved the entire nation to be wiped out, obliterated? Some say, well, they ate the not kosher food and it wasn't not kosher, it was kosher, it was a mishgiach. Well, they shouldn't have gone. They should have gone. They should have gone. It was a rule. It was a law. They had to go. You have to go, you have to go.
I remember this.
The Lubavitch Rebbe points out something beautiful. This is not everything that happens in the world is a punishment. Sometimes they're just natural consequences to our choices. What are the Jewish people saying? It says that the Jewish people went and rejoiced at Achashverosh's meal. They enjoyed it. You could have gone. You could be there. You sometimes have to hear things you don't want to hear. But when you also resonate with that, when Achashverosh says, I am the king and the Jews are never going back home, so you have to eat that food in your mouth and you're choking up with tears, that's one thing. But you're there and you're laughing, yeah, we're staying here. We love this country. So at that moment, Hashem says, yeah, you love this place. You don't believe we're going to take you back. The Midrash tells us that the Jewish people, we're like a one little sheep that stands between 70 wolves. And who saves us, says the Midrash? How great is the shepherd that stands above Umatzila and saves that little sheep all the time. So what does Hashem do? He says, you want Achashverosh to be your king? That's great. Fine. I'm not punishing you. The shepherd's going to walk away for a few minutes. The next thing that happens, Haman goes to the king, and the rest is literally history. The Jewish people, our natural state is that we're in danger. Our natural situation is that we're surrounded by 70 wolves that wish they could rip our head off. The fact that it doesn't happen, that's the miracle, not the other way around. Don't understand what I'm saying as an insensitivity. It surprises me how infrequently inquisitions and crusades and holocausts happen to the Jewish people. Don't look at me upset. Meaning, it's not normal to have... the Germans became Nazis in one day? We were able to live with them for hundreds of years and they just sometimes killed us? What stopped them 500 years earlier from doing a mass extermination of the Jewish people? Meaning, it's not like they became evil overnight. And it's not like they became good overnight either. Please don't walk... nothing changed in Europe. I was in Poland and I'll tell you that nothing changed. Except for the fact that the government's changed and you can't say certain things the way you wish you could say them. But at the end of the day, a Jew has to know that my situation is I'm always governed by HaKadosh Baruch Hu. The way I live, that's the way HaKadosh Baruch Hu lives with me. Maybe I'll just share one last thought on this whole idea. Essentially, everything we read until now is just a rephrasing of Pashat B'chukotai. Hashem says, if you walk in my ways, I'll do this. If you don't walk in my ways, I'll do that. This is the Beres Bar Mitzvah Parsha. Right? I mean, this is essentially paraphrasing what it says there. Now, it could even be that Rabbi Yonatan Halevy quoted this in Hebrew, but it was translated into Arabic, and then Arabic back to Hebrew, and then now we're translating into English. It could be that's all that happened here. A theory. I'm not sure. I don't know. Our rabbis tell us, "V'talachti b'tochem," that I will walk among you. Etayel imchem began Eden. I will travel with you through the Garden of Eden. V'lo tizda'azu mimeni, and you will not be afraid of me. You won't be. When Hashem reveals Himself to us, we tremble. It says you'll be calm. Meaning, the end result will be you'll be so comfortable being with me in the Garden of Eden. But it's not what it says in the Torah, really. It says that you will make me your God, and I will make you my people. The reward of being close to Hashem is to have a nation, an Am, a nation, a country, an army, a government, a promise. It's a promise like HaKadosh Baruch Hu gave us. But it seems like our rabbis, for the first time in Jewish theology, change over the promises that Hashem gave us from being this world to the next world. No longer is it will be a great nation, rather in the next world Hashem is going to be traveling with us. The Maharal explains in the Gemara Masechet Sotah that things have changed since the Beit HaMikdash was destroyed. See, when the Beit HaMikdash was around, Hashem could promise us, if you're with me, I'll make David HaMelech even stronger. If you're with me, I'll make sure that when you go to war against the Plishtim, you go to war against the Assyrians, I'll make sure that you win. But as a people whose Beit HaMikdash is destroyed, our national integrity has been trampled on. We are living in the rubble of a Jewish nation. What else can you promise somebody? You have to now change over the language into something that I can look forward to in the future. Something I can look forward to in the next world. And therefore our rabbis start to talk to us about schar, reward, that will be in the future. Today though, we have a country back. There were polls that were done in Israel. The majority of the citizens of the state of Israel believe there is a God. The majority. The majority of the state of Israel does not believe in the reward in the world to come. Rav Uri Sharkey suggests that perhaps that's what we're feeling. We're feeling a Jewish people who they're not thinking through something. It's not true. There is Chachal in the next world. But they're ideologically shifting back into the state where what does it mean to be blessed by Hashem? It doesn't mean anymore, Hashem's gonna, when I die, I'm gonna sit next to him in the Gan Eden. It also means I want peace. I don't want my kid to have to go to war in Israel. I don't want any more soldiers to be run over by a truck in Yerushalayim. I don't want any more people to be stabbed in the back by a knife when they're walking to the grocery store. We've shifted even in our own heads. What does it mean that Hashem should bless the Jewish people? We're no longer talking about what will be in the future, but we want what's now as a nation. This has been a subconscious shift in the Jewish people. And it's apparent in the land of people believe in HaKadosh Baruch Hu. But their concept of reward doesn't happen in the next world. It happens here. On a national level. That's an incredible thing. It's incorrect because there's both. But it's something to be thought about. You have to understand, and this is the last thing that I want to share, the Kli Yakar, which I don't have in front of me here. I switched Chumash sets between home and the shul. It's not in the... Yeah, for sure. The Kli Yakar in the introduction to Parshat Behar. It's right before B'chukotai. He talks a lot about the different opinions about why you find in the Torah that it doesn't even make any overt allusions to Olam Haba, to Mashiach, to the next world. The Karaites use this a lot against us. The Tziddukim traditionally uses it against us all the time. Where does the Torah talk about the next world? You'll find many chapters in the Talmud where it says, where does it say that Mashiach will come? And so they use a verse and they kind of, it's a hint that in the next world there'll be another world. Does it mean the Jews don't believe in another world? It doesn't. Rather, the opinion that many have is that the Jewish people left Egypt. Egypt is a society that was focused about death. Pyramids, mummies, embalming, coffins, hieroglyphics on the walls inside of pyramids. It was all about death. It was, how can I reach that place where I'll reach that final light, that final glory of the next world? It's preparing. Why did they mummify a body? Why did a king go with his jewelry and his... David HaMelech tells us, Al tira ki asher ish. Don't worry when you see a person who gets so wealthy. Ki harbe kevod beito. They have so much, it's a nice house, they have a lot of money, their possessions. It says David HaMelech, ki lo b'moto yikach hakol. When he passes away, he's not taking anything with him. V'lo yired acharav kevodo, and his honor is not going to go with him. Go to a cemetery, everyone's in a grave. There's nobody, today I told you once, a few years ago, I was at a funeral. Some people build really fancy graves to show off that their grave is nicer than someone else's grave. It's like the silliest thing you could do at the end of your life. We're all on 6 feet under. Now you want to show off. Who are you showing off to? To the funeral home director who's going to get... Who? But some people, they can't let this fight die. They have to always be... It says, no, when you see something, don't worry. When you die, nothing comes with you. Only your mitzvot, only your reward. So then tell me. Am Yisrael comes out of Egypt. And they're commanded over and over and over, don't be like the Egyptians, don't be like the Egyptians, don't be like the Egyptians. It seems like when HaKadosh Baruch Hu is giving us a Torah, Moshe Rabbeinu is teaching us our teachings, he's trying to shift the Jewish people away from a world where the Paro wore jewelry in his tomb because he needs his jewelry in the next world. He's buried with his cat. Sometimes they would kill his wife and bury her with him so he wouldn't be single in the next world. It's a crazy world. HaKadosh Baruch Hu says, I'm giving you a Torah. This is slightly in spirit with the Rambam, Moreh Nevuchim, which he says, many of the mitzvot in the Torah are done to take us away from an Egyptian mentality. The mentality of a world that it's all about death, it's all about the next world, it's all about... HaKadosh Baruch Hu says, stop thinking about the next world. Be for me a nation in this world. Be upright in this world. I promise you there'll be another world, but don't focus on it. To the point where the Rambam tells us in the laws of Mashiach, these are the laws of Mashiach, don't learn them too much. There will be end to end. There's no Yirat Shamayim, no awe of heaven that will come out of studying about Mashiach. He says, we believe Mashiach is going to come. But why become obsessed with it? It's not the focus of our Judaism. It's not the point. The point of the world is not Mashiach. We're here for fulfilling the Torah mitzvot. The Torah mitzvot will bring about a greater reality that will eventually bring a Mashiach. But let's focus on what we need to focus on. And perhaps this is the whole message of what we're trying to say is, we're differentiating ourselves. Rabbi Yonatan Halevy is saying, Hashem tells us, the things that I promise you will be tangible. Go to Israel. Watch what in 68 years. So there are some things, we cut some corners a little bit. We're still suffering from some third world side effects. But which other country could tell you 68 years of independence and they're the number one high-tech industry? They're the number one in the medical field. They're coming up with cures. I just read yesterday that Israel came up with some cure for prostate cancer. Something I read an article. I'm not sure if it's experimental, they came up with something they found in the middle of an ocean. They have to pretend they weren't Israelis. People don't want. They want the science, and they don't just want it to come from Israel. This is where Am Yisrael is. The greatest amount of Torah scholars in our life is now. We have never had this many people studying Torah in our history. In our history. The magnitude of these numbers shouldn't go over your head. When a person asks you, well, why are you so pro-Israel as a religious Jew? Why are you celebrating Yom Ha'atzmaut? It's not, the G'daylim didn't do it. You should answer them one thing. Just say, the question is not on me. The question is on you. How can you be so blind? How can you see everything that Kadosh Baruch Hu has done and say, you know what? It wasn't Hashem. It was those Tzionim, those Zionists. How can you say such a thing? How can you look and say, this is the hand of Hashem, it's the most revealed hand of Hashem we've ever seen in our history? Since we stood at Har Sinai and had open miracles. But since the time that the miracles were hidden through nature, this is the greatest revelation of the Kadosh Baruch Hu. That we are a people who sees the reward being actualized in this world. That shouldn't be a light thing to you. And B'ezrat Hashem, we should continue to see that until the coming of the ultimate redemption, which God willing will come at the right time in the right place. And even the Jews in San Diego will finally get to go home and stop settling Native American land. B'ezrat Hashem.